U.S.-Saudi relations on the brink, rising tensions between President Biden and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, putting the longstanding relationship between the two countries at risk. We want to bring Yahoo Finance senior columnist Rick Newman joining us now with the latest. Hey there, Rick. So even though relationship obviously between Saudi Arabia and U.S. not at the best, we are expected to see a number of U.S. business leaders make their trip to Saudi Arabia later this week.
Right. This is a 3-day, it's kind of a business and networking event similar to the Davos event that we attend. This is focused on the Middle East, and the idea is to generate business activity, business deals. Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify its economy beyond fossil fuels, and that's part of why they kicked this off. This conference was not controversial until 4 years ago, when we now know the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, ordered the execution and dismemberment of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey. And since then, there's been a lot of pressure on Western companies and American companies in particular to basically boycott this event. But I guess that pressure is fading, because we're going to see CEOs of many of the big U.S. banks and some other companies attending this event. And of course, this comes as the United States has been asking Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations to produce more oil to put pressure on Russia in its war on Ukraine. But they had said recently, no, they're going to do the opposite. They're going to produce less oil. So that has generated a lot of apparent visible friction between Washington and Riyadh. President Biden said there will be consequences for Saudi Arabia basically engineering this cut in production, but no word yet on what those consequences are. Meanwhile, there's a big business fete in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, the consequences, we've heard a little bit about the potential for stopping arms sales to Saudis. I am guessing Lockheed Martin and Raytheon had a little something to say about that, but we don't know the behind the scenes. But these just aren't any executives. We're talking JP Morgan, Goldman and Wells CEOs, Blackstone and Bridgewater CEOs, arguably some of the biggest in the world. But let's get back to oil. Has any of this back and forth, the OPEC Plus move, changed the price of oil, moved the needle?
Well, it's not a disaster for those of us in oil-consuming nations. So I think when OPEC said it was going to cut production, there was an expectation that we'd see a bump in oil prices, and we didn't. If we did, it was very temporary. So last time I looked, what is oil? Around $82 a barrel. That's tolerable. I guess you could argue that if the Saudis and the other OPEC Plus nations were continuing production at current levels, and remember, this is a gradual drop-off in production, not a one-time overnight drop-off. I guess we'd see oil prices lower. But President Biden has, he has been able to watch as gasoline prices have fallen from $5 a gallon in June. They're now around $3.80. I mean, that is a dramatic improvement in gas prices. Of course, everybody would love for gasoline to be $1 per gallon, but we're never going to go back to those days. So, I mean, this hasn't turned into as like a crisis for Biden. I think it's just an irritant at this point.
No doubt about that, but not apparently much sway with the big bank CEOs, at least not on paper right now. Rick Newman, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Bye, guys.